Bucking and rearing, with neither side able to organize its lines, they attempted to engage. The strait was jammed with ships, colliding, crashing into each other, driven ashore by the force of the wind. Rather than a sea battle, it was a series of incoherent microfights, small groups of 5, 6, 7 ships tearing at each other blindly in the wind. Night fell abruptly over the violent sea. Confusion increased. It became impossible to tell friend from foe. Venetian ships tried to board each other. Genoese rained arrows down on their own vessels. Men fell overboard. Galleys lost their steering systems. Their oars were shattered in the impact of the battle. Vessels floated away, rudderless on the current. Once fire caught a ship, it blazed like tinder in the fierce gale and was swept away, flaring and guttering into the dark. The wind, the biting cold, the splintering of wood, the confused cries, the men staggering along their decks trying to fight, driven forward by an appalling madness. It looked like a version of hell. There was no strategy or control. Outcomes were decided by luck. Locked together, ships crashed onto the coast. Their crews leaped ashore and continued to batter and stab at each other so that in places the sea battle became a land battle. The men from 7 Catalan galleys just ran away. The Greeks, perhaps more wisely, hardly engaged at all and retreated into the Golden Horn. Men fought to the death with demented fury. They killed their own side as often as the other. Dawn broke on a scene of devastation. Empty hulls floated on the water or lay wrecked on the shore. The sea was littered with corpses, spars, the detritus of battle. No one could tell who had won. Both sides claimed the victory. The casualties were huge. Franciscan friars from Galata tried to arrange a prisoner exchange. When they visited the Venetian fleet, they found so few captives that they decided not to return, fearing that when the Genoese learned of their losses, they would slaughter their own prisoners out of hand. Yet in the aftermath, advantage remained with Genoa. The Venetian and Catalan fleets withdrew, unable to sustain the assault on Galata. And the Genoese now had military aid from the Ottoman Sultan Orhan. The Byzantines had no choice but to sign a peace treaty with Genoa, under the terms of which Greek ships should have no entry to the Black Sea without Genoese permission. In addition, the Genoese were confirmed in their possession of Galata, which they now fortified more strongly as a sovereign colony. Byzantium was being slowly strangled, not only by the avid maritime republics, but also by the advancing Ottoman Turks. For Venice, the strategic consequences were severe. What they learned from the Battle of the Bosporus was that, without a fallback point at the approaches to the Black Sea, they would never be able to exercise any concerted pressure on the trade to the farthest east. They cast an acquisitive eye over the small island of Tenedos, well positioned at the mouth of the Dardanelles. There was little rejoicing in Genoa either. "I saw no annual commemoration of this triumph," wrote a Genoese chronicler, "nor did the Doge visit any churches to give thanks, as is the normal custom. Perhaps because so many brave Genoese fell in the fight, the victory of that day is best forgotten." The war went on. It moved west and continued through a series of oscillating mood swings that drove each republic in turn from manic joy to the brink of despair, like the dip and lurch of a huge